Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today to represent my task, my literature review. Before we start, let me introduce myself. Let me introduce my name. Let me introduce myself. My name is Didi Yusuf Fernanto, with student ID 29324372 from STEMBA 4. Today I will be presenting an analysis on bridging the gap in electric vehicle adoption in Indonesia. This presentation is synthesis of key research finding aimed at understanding the microeconomic barrier that are slowing down EV adoption in our country, Indonesia, and how we can formulate more effective policies to address them. Okay, to guide our discussion, I have structured this presentation into some part. First, I will introduce the background, plan versus actual. Next, the barrier 1, the upfront cost price wall. Next, barrier 2, the total cost of ownership. Next, barrier 3, infrastructure deficit and non-monetary costs. Next, barrier 4, policy risk perception and information gap. Next, microeconomics analysis, why is adoption slowing down. Next is strategic recommendation, and the last is conclusion. Okay, let's deep dive to the first part. Let's say background, plan versus actual. Indonesia has a very clear and strategic ambition for its energy transition. The government has set a net zero emission target for 2060, with transportation decarbonization being a key pillar of this goal. This ambition is backed by strong regulatory support, most notably in Perpres nomor 5 2019, which serves as the legal framework for accelerating the entire EV ecosystem. The quantitative target are also aggressive. The government aims to have 2 million electric cars and 13 juta electric motorcycle on the road by 2030. However, this grand ambition meets harsh reality on the ground. The adoption of the EV is still extremely low. Data show that EV market share below 2% of new car sales and less than 0.3% of the total vehicle population in Indonesia. This highlight the fundamental problem was a significant gap exists between macro level policy ambition and purchasing decision made at the micro level by consumer itself. And this part will explore the microeconomic barrier that are causing this gap. Okay, let's take a look to the first barrier, the upfront cost price wall, that have three parts. The first part is price disparity, the second part is main cost by expensive batteries, and the last part is microeconomic implication. The first part is price disparity. The price of EV can be more higher than a conventional car in the same class, making it a premium product. Let's say BYD compared with Avanza. The BYD mostly for the same level or the same categories like Avanza the price is up to 400 until 500 or more. The second part is main cost. The main cost is of this high price is the expensive battery. which account for about 40% of total production cost and is mostly import. Nah, basically EV, the part, the higher part, the expensive part is battery. If the battery drop, the battery is breakdown, the car is can drive, it cannot move, and we must replace the battery, and the battery is very expensive right now. Compared to Avanza, like Avanza or the internal combustion vehicle, like solar or gasoline car, maybe if the some part broke, it can move smooth, doesn't like the EV. The EV, if the battery drop, it can move. The last is microeconomic implication. For majority Indonesia household, EV is expensive or maybe luxurious, yeah, not a necessity. This means demand for EV is highly price elastic. It is extremely sensitive to price change. Okay, we move to second barrier, the total cost of ownership. While EV promise long-term saving, this advantage is not yet strong enough to offset the high initial cost. Yeah, let's look at the total cost ownership at that table. Yeah, comparing ICE, internal combustion engine, with electric vehicle or EV. Although operational costs like electricity and maintenance are lower, this benefit is counterbalanced by other factors. As you can see in the table, key data from total cost ownership comparison show that the annual total car ownership for battery electric vehicle is still highly, still slightly higher than conventional car in the short term. What's going on in the customer mind? They see high depreciation, estimate at 20% for electric vehicle versus 15% for internal combustion vehicle, which reflect uncertainty in the resale market. Yes, if we know in Indonesia, we believe that if we buy some cars, some vehicle, it's like for investation. So we need to, after sales, we need to know about the price after we use. Something like that. Okay, now we move to third barrier, infrastructure deficit and non-monetary costs. That we have three parts. The first part is chicken and egg problem. The second part is infrastructure gap data, and the last part is non-monetary costs for customer. This third barrier is lack of charging infrastructure, which creates significant non-monetary costs for consumer. Like the first one, we are currently stuck in the chicken and egg problem. EVs on the road make infrastructure investment commercially unattractive, and the lack infrastructure hinders EV adoption. EV needs SPKLU or charging station, and charging station is need to EV to charge. So what the most priority to build EV or the charging station? I mean, it's like chicken and egg. What the first part? Where the first role? What the first role to be produced? This is the harmonic. EV always need charging station, and charging station need EV. If we want to make more convenience, EV must EV and charging station must build uh, uh, the same way, the same timeline. The second part is the data on this infrastructure gap is stark. There are only 1,522 public charging stations as of mid 2024, far from the target of 30,000 by 2030. Moreover, this infrastructure is heavily concentrated on the island of Java, limiting participability for other region. I mean, we know EV just for Java Island, because the Java Islands have all facility. The charging station, the we must like bengkel, workshop. If the EV breakdown, it can be lebih cepat diperbaiki daripada tidak sama sekali. I mean, we have just hanya di Pulau Jawa aja yang punya fasilitas tersebut, sedangkan di pulau-pulau lain terkait implementasi charging station itu sangat lambat, sehingga kalau charging station lambat, maka EV pun juga tidak bisa digunakan. Kalau kita masih memaksakan untuk mengcharging di rumah, itu sangat membuat tidak nyaman bagi konsumer, karena bila di tengah jalan baterai habis, kita harus pulang, sedangkan kita masih ada agenda. That's the reason. And the last part is non-monetary cost. There is time cost associated with searching for station and longer charging times. We know the time of charge is particularly like 1 hour or maybe one and a half. That it's very long, and we wait 1 hour in some place that not convenient, that not make we comfort. So it's the pain factor of the for the consumer to adopt to the EV electric vehicle. Okay, we move to last barrier, policy, risk perception, and the information gap. Fourth barrier, this fourth barrier is combination of suboptimal policy and information gap, which together reinforce high perception of risk among consumer. The first one is government incentive are ineffective. Studies show that 63.5% of consumers are unaware of existing subsidy programs, and those who are aware is 51.3% still feel the EV price is too high. This perception is that incentives are more focused on the industry rather than the end consumer. The second is asymmetric information. Consumer have far more limited knowledge about EV technology, reliability, and real long-term cost than manufacturer. And the last is high perceived risk. Consumers worry about financial risk. That's the consumer, Indonesian customer, buy a vehicle. It's sometimes for investment. So if someday we need urgent, we can sold the vehicle in a high price. Like the consumer worry about functional risk, adopting the vehicle performance and real world range for the EV. and they worry about the safety risk, with concern about the battery safety in flood or accidents. Okay, we move to microeconomic analysis. Why is adoption slowing down? The slow adoption of EV is a rational consumer response to the current market condition. The first is EV, an elastic luxury good, placing them outside the budget line for the majority of Indonesian households. The second, market failure, the lack of infrastructure is a classic network externality problem, where the market fails to provide an adequate supply. The knowledge gap is a result of asymmetric information, which create risk of adverse selection and moral hazard, suppressing trust and demand. The analytical conclusion, consumer are delaying to adopting, not because they are reject the technology, it's just because the current value proposition with all its costs and risks is simply not yet compelling enough. So we move to strategic recommendation, step for acceleration. We have four strategic recommendation for the adoption of EV in Indonesia. The first one is smarter policy incentive. We need that because we must redesign subsidies to be more consumer focused, especially for affordable model, and ensure policy consistency to build confidence. The second is aggressive infrastructure investment. We know that for EV need charging station, and the charging station is need EV to recharge. So the government must lead investment to build widespread and reliable national charging network. Also maybe for Indonesian people, like after sales, the workshop, if the EV breakdown, we can easily to service the vehicle. Third, we must focus on reducing the information gap. This requires a national education campaign to explain total cost of ownership benefit, and reduce perceived risk. And we must strengthen the quality signal through certification and clear warranty to build trust. The last, or finally, long-term industrial strategy. The focus must be on developing a domestic battery industry by leveraging our abundant nickel reserve. This is the key to fundamentally lowering EV costs in the future, just because more totally the total cost of the EV is based on the battery. If the battery breakdown, we can use EV like the normal one. So we move to the last chapter for this presentation, is conclusion of adoption EV in Indonesia. Let's summarize the key takeaways. EV adoption in Indonesia is hindered by powerful combination of high price, minimal infrastructure, ineffective incentive, and high perceived risk. This is fundamentally a microeconomic problem rooted in affordability, non-monetary cost, and market failure. Not technology rejection. The customer decision is to delay adoption is therefore a rational choice in the current market condition. So, what the key forward? The first is acceleration will only happen if the government create policy that systematically to dismantle this micro level barrier. And the second and last, our focus must shift from merely setting target to creating compelling value proposition for majority of Indonesian customer. We need to make EV the easy, affordable, and reliable choice like the internal combustion vehicle. Uh, so EV and ICE can work together. We can easily or many we can have many options to use. Okay, that's all from our my presentation about literature review adoption EV in Indonesia. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your attention. Good day.